Alrighty, good people. Thank you once again for joining me. It's another edition of the All Go Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Please like and subscribe. I'm putting more and more content out, sports related, NBA, college football, NFL, all types of good stuff. So would definitely appreciate it. Super Bowl preview. So tomorrow is the big game. It's Saturday night right now. Kansas City Chiefs and the Buccaneers. When the season first started, I think most people would have called Kansas City being here, and I think a lot of Tom Brady fans would have called the Buccaneers, but I don't think many more people would have called that. So, they've done a great job. They've had a pretty tough road to get to the Super Bowl. They had to travel, I believe, 2 of the 3 games. To make it. But they played a really good game against Green Bay in the conference championship round. Brady threw some rough picks in that second half, but at the end of the day, they got the win, so that part really doesn't matter. Want to get into just kind of a couple key guys for each team, and then just give my prediction of what I think is going to happen, or at least final score-ish. So to start with Tampa Bay, I'm going to take the quarterbacks out of it. Obviously, they both need to play well in order to win tomorrow. Mahomes and Brady, and which I think they both will play well tomorrow. So for the Buccaneers, I think it'll be important to get Chris Godwin, involved in the pass game. And I really think Leonard Fournette is going to be another guy who is really important for the Buccaneers to do what they want to do. So to start with Godwin, last year he was actually ranked by Pro Football Focus as the number 1 receiver in the NFL. So he had a really good year, really solid year. Really, I didn't think Chris Godwin had that in him, but he just played phenomenal. And I think this year hasn't had as big of an impact, but has played really well. And I think tomorrow it'll be crucial for him. Underneath, I think it's almost a given that you're going to hit Mike Evans on, a couple deep balls tomorrow. But Chris Godwin is kind of that mid to underneath receiver where, Brady likes to go to. And I think it'll be important as far as matchups and things like that to get Chris Godwin involved in the game early. Leonard Fournette, I just think for the Buccaneers, their game plan is going to be ball control on offense. I don't think it'll be as drastic as trying to take the air out of the ball, but I do think they will focus on the run game. And I think Leonard Fournette, once the playoffs hit, he has had just an extra burst of explosion, and he's looked like the Leonard Fournette of his rookie year, with Jacksonville. He's looked really good, really explosive, really strong. He's got to make sure he catches the ball, because he's had a couple drops that are pretty rough, and Brady likes to hit his running backs out of the backfield with checkdowns or swing routes. So Fournette's got to make sure he's ready to catch the football and just running hard, running tough, because I think the Chiefs defense can be had in the run game. So I think that I think Leftwich and Bruce Arians are definitely going to try to get that run game going for the Buccaneers. So defensively for the Buccaneers, I think 2 guys that'll be key are number 1, Shaq Barrett, and number 2, Devin White. So Shaq Barrett is the defensive end. I think he's listed as an outside linebacker, but nonetheless, pass rush specialist. The dude is unreal as far as getting to the quarterback. I believe he had over 10 sacks this season, and last year he had a really good season. So he's a guy that can put pressure on Mahomes, and with the Kansas City Chiefs losing both of their starting tackles, it's going to be important for Barrett to be able to put some pressure on Mahomes, because he's the type of quarterback that if you just give him time to sit and hang out back there, like, he's going to pick you apart. He's too good of a quarterback for you to kind of be able to sit back and not really put a lot of pressure on him. So I think Barrett is going to be crucial. And then also Devin White. So for Devin White, he is a very explosive athlete out of LSU. Great player. He's fast. He can do a lot. He causes a lot of turnovers. But I think the two reasons he's going to be so key is, number one, I think he's going to have, in some capacity, the responsibility of covering Travis Kelce. So I don't think it'll be an exclusive thing where, Devin White is matched up, following Travis Kelce around. But I think he will be responsible at least a little bit on some, snaps as far as having to cover Kelce. And Kelce is a nightmare. I think he is uncoverable. I truly feel that way because of how big he is, how athletic. He's a great route runner, great hands. Like he really, does it all as far as what Kansas City asked him to do. And he's almost like he's just really like a big wide receiver, but he gets to match up against, linebackers and safeties, which gives him a pretty good matchup advantage. So I think that'll be key for Devin White. And then also for Devin White, I think being able to put pressure on Mahomes when he is scrambling out of the pocket. So, Mahomes does extend plays every now and then. I wouldn't call him a scrambling quarterback, but he's looking to extend those plays. And I think when he gets out of the pocket, it'll be important for Devin White to, really put some pressure on him to go and get him. So we'll see, what happens there. On the flip side for Kansas City, to start with them defensively, I think the most important person on their defense tomorrow is going to be Chris Jones. It's known that if you want to make Tom Brady uncomfortable, you need to get pressure up the middle, like right in his face, because he's a quarterback that is not very mobile, not going to run around. When he feels pressure, he steps up in the pocket. So if you're Chris Jones, I hope you eat your Wheaties tomorrow, because he's going to be key in trying to get pressure on Brady. And we just saw in the last game in the conference championship that if you do put some pressure on Brady, that he'll put the ball in harm's way. So he had 3 pretty bad interceptions that he threw in the second half against Green Bay, and almost got got them back in the game, but it was closer than I'm sure Tampa Bay wanted it to be. So I think it'll be important for Chris Jones to have a day in putting a lot of pressure on Brady up the middle. The other guy defensively that's going to be just monumental is going to be the Honey Badger, Tyrion Matthews. He's a guy that is a veteran. He's still at his age. He's been in a couple different places, but he's still just a phenomenal player. As a ball hawk, he tackles well in space. He does just about everything very well. And I think he'll need to have a really good game play in the middle of the field, that you can't give up any, big plays across the middle. And I think it'll be important too for him that if he can get his hands on, any of Brady's throws and potentially pick them off, that'll be really big, because Kansas City is such an explosive offense that they, a couple extra possessions for them could spell disaster for you. I think about last year when they were down 24-0 against Houston in the playoffs, and I believe they went 5 straight possessions with 5 straight touchdowns. No punts, no turnovers. To be able to do that as an offense is just insane. And for the Buccaneers, it'll be in a very odd situation, because they will be playing a team that no matter what the score is, you still are kind of on pins and needles, because you could be up 24-0 and still lose the game. And then also, obviously, if it's a tight game, that it still will be kind of in the balance. So it'll be a pretty difficult one for the Buccaneers, but we'll see what happens. Offensively for the Chiefs, I think Travis Kelce. He's a guy that they target quite a bit. Obviously, Tyreek Hill as well, but for Tyreek, it's more kind of the chunk plays, whereas Kelce gets a lot more targets. I think he'll have a favorable matchup with being lined up in the slot. So I think Kelce will have to have a really big game when it comes to just catching the ball. He's asked to block a little bit, not as much as like a George Kittle, but just in the pass game, I think Kelce will be huge tomorrow. And I'm not quite sure if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be back, the rookie running back for the Chiefs out of LSU. But I think the Chiefs just. I think the O-line has just got to have a really solid game. And Tampa Bay's got a formidable defensive line. They have, Ndamukong Suh, who's still, even in his, he's a veteran, but is still playing very well. Obviously, we mentioned Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul. So they've got guys that can put a lot of pressure on Mahomes and can really, make a life miserable for him. So we'll see what happens with that O-line. I think they'll be able to do enough to get some explosive plays and to be successful as an offense. I've still been going back and forth on my prediction because I feel like this game could easily be in the 40s with both teams. But it also too, with having 2 weeks to game plan, you usually don't see the offenses go crazy and explode for that many points. But I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with my gut. So my call will be, I think it'll be a game something like 38-45 Kansas City. I just think offensively they're just so explosive, and I think they will. I think they'll win it out. I think they will be back-to-back champs, and it's actually a call. I mean, like I said, most people made preseason that they would go back-to-back just with the talent they have with Pat Mahomes, and Andy Reid. I think people just thought they had more than enough to get there, and here they are, and I think they'll win it. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna finish watching the Warriors game, playing the Mavs, watch Luka and Steph go at it. So once again, thanks so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Thanks.